Listen to this, you can go through every book, watch all the videos, and tell yourself over and over again that you love yourself, but if you don't grasp this one essential truth, the love you are searching for will always remain just out of reach today. I'm not here to give you theories, I'm here to give you the key, something that no one has ever told you before, a truth that Carl Jung discovered, and one that will completely shift the way you relate to yourself and those around you. Are you prepared to uncover it? If you are watching this, it's because something inside you already understands that there is more to this than what meets the eye. This isn't simply about accepting your shadow or balancing your energies, it's about applying these ideas in a way that truly transforms your life. By the time this video ends, you won't just gain a deeper understanding of why feeling loved has been a struggle for you, you'll leave with a clear and actionable approach to completely reshape your relationship with yourself, and in turn with others. This isn't about just talking, it's about doing. Your relationships aren't random. What pulls you toward or pushes you away from others is a direct reflection of the unresolved elements within you. Think about the last person who stirred intense emotions in you, whether it was love, admiration, frustration, or anger. That individual is not just a random figure in your life, they serve as a mirror, exposing something deeply buried within your own psyche. Perhaps you constantly gravitate toward individuals who make you feel insecure, or maybe you frequently find yourself annoyed by people who display qualities you refuse to acknowledge in yourself. Today, you will learn how to use this mirror to reveal the parts of yourself that are calling out for attention and healing, because unless you do, you will keep searching for love in all the wrong places. The real question isn't why does this person act this way, the real question is what is this person reflecting back to me about myself. This idea, the relational mirror, runs far deeper than it first appears. When someone provokes a strong emotional response in you, what you are experiencing is actually a projection of your own shadow. Examine the patterns in your relationships. Do you repeatedly find yourself attracted to the same type of person, or do you find yourself avoiding certain personality traits at all costs? Both attraction and avoidance reveal something crucial about your internal world. When you feel an intense draw towards someone, ask yourself, what exactly do I admire about this person? Could it be that these are traits I have not fully embraced or developed in myself? Perhaps you admire someone's spontaneity and freedom because you have lived a life that feels overly structured and controlled. Similarly, when someone irritates you to the core, ask yourself, what is it about them that triggers me so deeply? Could it be that I also possess this trait but have denied or suppressed it in myself? Maybe arrogance in others sets you off because deep down you wrestle with your own fear of being perceived as arrogant, one that you are ashamed to acknowledge. This level of self-awareness is transformative, but it demands absolute honesty. You must be willing to face the parts of yourself that you have hidden even from yourself, and in this recognition is where true healing begins. The most challenging relationships in your life are often your greatest teachers. The individual who repeatedly frustrates you might actually be the key to unlocking parts of yourself that you've ignored. It's not a coincidence that certain people keep appearing in your life. They are messengers revealing the path to your own wholeness. Just as others reflect aspects of you, you too act as a mirror for them. When you recognize this, you gain both compassion and responsibility in your interactions. You begin to see that when someone reacts negatively toward you, it's not necessarily about you, it's about the reflection of themselves that they perceive in you. Instead of reacting defensively, you can choose to respond with understanding. The goal of this process isn't just to identify patterns, it's to transform them. Once you recognize which part of yourself is being reflected in a difficult relationship, you can start to heal that part. And as you consciously integrate those neglected or underdeveloped aspects of yourself, your relationships will naturally shift and improve. This journey of integration does not happen overnight. Don't expect instant results. Observe your emotional reactions as if you were a scientist studying a fascinating subject, without judgment, only with sincere curiosity. Over time, you will notice that the people who once had a strong emotional hold over you will lose their power. The healthier, more balanced relationships you desire will begin to manifest. Instead of attracting individuals who reflect your wounds, you will start attracting those who align with the healed, whole version of yourself. You will no longer search for in others what you feel is missing within. Instead, you will form connections based on shared wholeness, rather than emotional neediness. Genuine love only becomes possible after this process of self-discovery. When you love from a place of completeness, rather than lack, your relationships turn into spaces for mutual growth, rather than sources of emotional dependency. You will no longer need someone else to fill a void because you will be complete within yourself. And here is the ultimate truth: the part of yourself that you reject is the same part that is sabotaging your relationships. You cannot truly love if you do not fully accept yourself. Consider the aspects of yourself you dislike, the things you try to conceal. That is your shadow, And until you integrate it, you will continue projecting your insecurities onto others. For example, if arrogance in others bothers you deeply, it's likely that you have a hidden fear of coming across as arrogant yourself, or if you keep gravitating toward people who belittle you, it's because deep down a part of you questions your own worth. This is where you will learn to integrate your shadow, not to strive for perfection, but to become whole, because only when you embrace every part of yourself can you experience love in its truest form. Your shadow isn't just made up of negative traits, it also includes unrecognized strengths and hidden talents. When you reject parts of yourself, you create an internal divide, forming an invisible barrier that prevents the deep connection you crave. But when you fully embrace all that you are, love ceases to be something external that you chase. Instead, it becomes something that radiates from within, and from that space of inner completeness, genuine connection naturally follows. This fragmentation causes us to search for in others what we have denied within ourselves. Every time you harshly judge someone, you are staring into a mirror. The very trait that irritates you so much in another person is simply a reflection of something unacknowledged in yourself. Pay close attention to your strongest reactions within them. You will find the most valuable insights about yourself. Perhaps you despise vulnerability in others because you fear acknowledging your own fragility, or maybe you look down on extreme ambition because you have suppressed your own desires for success and recognition. Your shadow also plays a role in your romantic attractions. We are drawn to individuals who freely express what we have repressed. If you feel an irresistible pull toward dominant personalities, ask yourself, is there a part of me that longs to embody more power and authority? If you frequently seek partners who need rescuing, you may be projecting your own need for care and attention. Relationship sabotage happens subtly yet persistently. Maybe you fear abandonment, so you push people away before they can leave, or maybe you resist control so much that you reject any form of guidance, even when it's beneficial. These patterns aren't accidental, they are defense mechanisms of your unintegrated shadow. Embracing your shadow requires courage. The first step is being willing to see it without self-condemnation. Whenever you feel a strong aversion to something in another, ask yourself, where does this exist within me? Not to blame yourself, but to understand yourself more deeply. Integration also means expressing the repressed aspects of yourself in safe spaces. If you have stifled your creativity, find outlets where you can freely express it. If you have denied your need for connection, allow yourself to be vulnerable with trusted individuals. Over time, these hidden parts will transform from internal saboteurs into sources of strength. A powerful exercise is writing a letter to your shadow, acknowledging its presence, thanking it for trying to protect you, and expressing your desire to integrate it with compassion. This inner dialogue can be the beginning of a profound reconciliation with yourself. The irony is that by accepting your darkest aspects, you become more radiant. By embracing your imperfections, you become more real. And it is this authenticity that allows for genuine, deep relationships to flourish. When two people show up as whole beings, fully integrating both light and shadow, there is no longer a need for a partner to fill any voids. You arrive as a complete individual, no longer projecting fears or insecurities onto others, because you have embraced them within yourself. Relationships are not solely about joy or comfort. They are meant for growth. Every challenge, disagreement, or setback is a chance to better understand yourself. In this session, you will come to view love not as a final destination, but as an ongoing journey of self-discovery. Until this understanding is reached, the same mistakes will continue to surface. For instance, if you consistently find yourself in relationships where you feel abandoned, it is likely due to an unresolved wound from the past that requires healing. If you frequently seek partners who provide security, it may indicate a deeper part of you that does not feel safe. Here, you will learn how to use love as a tool for personal development rather than a goal that leads to frustration when unmet expectations arise. When love is viewed solely as a source of pleasure or validation, its deeper transformative nature is lost. Relationships serve as the most profound classroom in life, reflecting your inner world more clearly than anything else. Every individual who enters your life does so with a lesson, and until that lesson is understood, the pattern will continue to repeat. The faces may change, but the essence remains the same. Patterns in relationships are not coincidental. If you examine your past, you will notice recurring themes connecting seemingly different experiences. Perhaps you are drawn to emotionally distant individuals or those who need rescuing. These patterns serve as signals, pointing to unresolved internal wounds. Attachment theory suggests that our earliest experiences shape relational patterns in adulthood. If love in childhood was unpredictable, you may unconsciously seek inconsistency in romantic relationships, as it feels familiar despite its pain. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward transformation. The ultimate purpose of romantic love is not to create happiness, though happiness can be a byproduct. Its true purpose is to illuminate aspects of yourself that would otherwise remain hidden. Intimacy exposes your deepest fears, defense mechanisms, and unexpressed desires. Love is not merely about finding the right person. It is about becoming the kind of person who can love deeply, fearlessly, and with awareness. When conflict arises, the most valuable question is not about assigning blame, but rather asking what the situation reveals about yourself. Perhaps a seemingly minor comment from your partner triggers deep insecurity. Maybe your need for control stems from an underlying fear of abandonment. These insights, though often uncomfortable, are invaluable for personal growth. Attractions, too, serve as powerful teachers. They pull you toward aspects of yourself that remain unexplored. If you admire someone's freedom, it may indicate a longing for greater freedom in your own life. If you are captivated by someone's creativity, it could be a sign that an unexpressed artist within you seeks expression. The most intense attractions are not random. They serve as maps guiding you toward your potential. Heartbreak, while painful, presents an extraordinary opportunity for evolution. When a relationship ends, you have two choices: blame the other person and continue repeating old cycles, or turn inward and ask, "What can I learn from this?" The response to heartbreak determines whether you grow wiser or more bitter. True love does not seek perfection in a partner, but rather mutual growth. A relationship built on this foundation extends beyond personal happiness to shared transformation. In this type of relationship, every challenge becomes an opportunity to expand, break limitations, and heal together. Ironically, when love is embraced as a tool for growth, happiness arises more naturally and sustainably. Fulfillment is no longer dependent on external factors, but is found within the process of evolving and understanding oneself through the reflection that a partner provides. The shift happens when you stop saying, "I always end up with the same kind of partner," and start asking, "Why do I keep choosing this kind of partner?" This change in perspective restores power. No longer a victim of fate or the actions of others, you become the conscious creator of your relational experiences. Embracing love as a path to self-growth requires courage. It involves confronting uncomfortable truths, challenging deeply ingrained beliefs, and shedding identities that no longer serve you. The rewards, however, are profound: deeper self-awareness, more authentic relationships, and the ability to love freely rather than from a place of need. Why do certain relational patterns keep repeating? The answer lies within the subconscious. These recurring cycles are not random. They indicate unresolved wounds seeking attention. If you consistently attract partners who cause suffering, there is likely a deep emotional wound that requires healing. If you always seek validation from relationships, it may stem from an underlying belief that you are unworthy or unseen. Until these patterns are addressed, they will continue to manifest. Toxic relational cycles function like invisible loops, repeating with precise regularity. Changing partners does not necessarily alter the dynamic because the underlying subconscious programming remains intact. These patterns often originate in childhood, shaping how you perceive love and relationships. If love was conditional on performance during childhood, you may now find yourself seeking approval in adult relationships. If past affection was intertwined with criticism, you might feel most comfortable in relationships filled with conflict. The phrase, "what is familiar feels safe," explains why people unconsciously repeat unhealthy dynamics. The brain seeks the known, even if it is painful, which is why individuals often exit one toxic relationship only to find themselves in another remarkably similar one. Breaking these cycles begins with self-awareness. Observe your relational history as if watching a film. What themes consistently emerge? Do you often feel abandoned? Are you drawn to emotionally unavailable people? Do you tend to lose your sense of identity in relationships? These patterns are not coincidences, but valuable clues leading to deep-seated emotional wounds. Behind every toxic pattern lies a limiting belief. If you frequently attract betrayal, there may be a subconscious belief that you do not deserve loyalty. If you repeatedly enter controlling relationships, it might indicate an internal belief that you are incapable of directing your own life. These beliefs act as invisible forces, attracting experiences that confirm them. Neuroscience reveals that these patterns are not just psychological, but also neurological. Through repetition, strong neural connections are formed, reinforcing these cycles. Changing them requires ongoing awareness and the deliberate cultivation of new experiences that counteract ingrained habits. Identifying emotional triggers is a powerful practice. These are specific situations that evoke disproportionate reactions. Perhaps a minor delay from your partner triggers a deep fear of abandonment, or a casual remark about your appearance sparks insecurity. These triggers offer insight into core wounds. Healing begins with responsibility. This does not mean self-blame, but rather acknowledging your role in sustaining these patterns. As long as you perceive yourself as a victim of circumstances or other people's actions, the cycles will persist. True power arises when you take ownership of your experiences. Breaking these cycles requires reconnecting with your body. Relationship addictions operate similarly to other addictions, with physical sensations preceding automatic behaviors. Learn to recognize how attraction to unhealthy dynamics feels in your body, perhaps an intense excitement, a false sense of security, or a familiar yet unhealthy comfort. Recognizing these sensations allows you to consciously choose rather than react automatically. Establishing firm boundaries, both with others and with yourself, is essential. You often lose your sense of self in relationships. Establish personal rituals that help you stay connected to who you are. If you are drawn to people with narcissistic tendencies, define clearly which behaviors you will not accept. Boundaries are acts of self-care that help break cycles of self-sabotage. True transformation happens when you dare to choose something new, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. If you have always been attracted to drama and intensity, a calm and steady relationship may initially feel unexciting. This discomfort is natural. You are creating new neural pathways and learning different ways to experience connection. Remember, breaking patterns is not something that happens just once. It is an ongoing process. There will be moments when you fall back into old habits and feel tempted to return to what is familiar. Each time you notice the pattern and make a different choice, you strengthen your new path. Neuroplasticity works in your favor. With each decision, you are literally rewiring your brain. The goal is not to create a perfect relationship, but to develop the awareness that allows you to choose freely. When you are no longer controlled by unconscious programming, you can build relationships that reflect who you are now rather than the wounds of your past. You can love not from a place of emptiness or compulsion, but from wholeness and freedom. Authentic love is not something you stumble upon. It is something you create. When you love yourself without conditions, love stops being something you desperately seek and instead becomes something you embody. This shift changes everything. Until you grasp this, you will keep searching outside for something that can only be found within. Love is not merely something you give or receive. It is something you are. When you live from that truth, your relationships stop being a source of pain and instead become an extension of your essence. Love is not a final destination. It is a continuous journey. We have been raised to believe that love is something external, a force that blesses only the fortunate. While this romantic notion can be beautiful, it puts us in a passive role, making us wait to be chosen, seen, and loved. This perspective, however, reverses the true nature of love. Authentic love does not come from outside of you. It flows from within, like an endless spring. It is not something you must extract from someone else. When you rely on external sources for love, you create a cycle of constant lack. Like a container with holes, you will never feel full. Love that comes from outside is always fleeting, conditional, and limited by another person's capacity. The transformation happens when you realize that you are the primary source of your own love. You do not need permission to love yourself. You do not need validation or achievements to be worthy of love. Self-love is not something you earn for being enough. It is your birthright. It is your natural state when you remove the barriers you have built against yourself. In a world that has taught you to measure your value based on productivity, appearance, or accomplishments, practicing unconditional self-love is an act of defiance. It means treating yourself with kindness, whether you succeed or fail. It means speaking to yourself with the same compassion you would offer to a close friend. It means recognizing your worth independent of external validation. As you build this loving relationship with yourself, you will see a shift in your external relationships. You will no longer approach others from a place of emptiness, but from completeness. You will stop seeking in others what you think you lack. Instead, you will share what you already have in abundance. The irony is that when you stop desperately needing love, you become more open to experiencing it deeply. Your relationships transform into spaces of growth, rather than a means to feel whole. You no longer look for someone to bring you happiness. You bring happiness to your relationships. You do not expect another person to heal your wounds, though you may heal alongside them. You do not depend on someone else to give you a sense of worth, though you may celebrate the value they see in you. This shift also changes what you are attracted to. When you operate from lack, you attract people who mirror your unresolved wounds. When you operate from a place of wholeness, you attract people who reflect your self-respect. It is the difference between an attraction rooted in emotional addiction and an attraction based on genuine connection. True self-love is not narcissism. In fact, it is the opposite. Narcissism comes from deep insecurity and an inner void that seeks constant validation. Authentic self-love comes from honoring your complete humanity. It allows you to see others with clarity and compassion because you are no longer projecting your unmet needs onto them. One transformative exercise is practicing self-compassion. When you feel difficult emotions like fear, sadness, anger, or shame, do not judge or suppress them. Instead, embrace them as part of your human experience, not as flaws to be fixed. This radical self-acceptance changes the way you relate to yourself and, in turn, how you relate to the world. Remember, love is not a goal to achieve, but a daily practice. Some days, loving yourself will be easier than others. There will be times when old patterns of self-criticism resurface. Do not be discouraged. Every moment of awareness is another opportunity to choose love again. Every time you forgive yourself after a setback, you strengthen your ability to love authentically. The greatest paradox is that when you stop searching for love as something missing, you realize it has always been present. Like a fish searching for the ocean while swimming in it, you have been immersed in love all along. Your task is not to find it, but to recognize it. Allow it to flow, first toward yourself and then naturally toward others. This is the secret that wise teachers have shared throughout the ages. Love is not something you do. It is something you are. When you live from that truth, every relationship, every interaction, and every moment becomes an expression of that love that is already within you. Love is not a reward for being enough. It is a state that emerges when you accept yourself fully, with all your light and shadows. No one will ever love you as deeply as you can love yourself, and that is the key. Once you understand this, love stops being a search and becomes an expression of your true self. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want to continue exploring how to transform your life from within, subscribe and turn on notifications. Remember, love is not something you find, it is something you cultivate, and that journey begins today. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Until next time.